Prix. I'm your host, Wrathful, and I have a special guest. Well, not necessarily a special guest, but my co-homs here today. So, should be a good race as we do have 15 drivers all loaded in, ready to go. Good turnout for Tier 5. We do have openings in Tier 5. If you think you are at the pace of these guys, do submit in your TTs. We should have it in our Nightbot down below in our chat at any given time throughout the stream if you are looking for that. Yeah, I'm only 3.5, 4 hours away from the track actually, so should be interesting for me. It's kind of a home track, but kind of not. At the same time, there's other more local tracks to me, but I'm sure everyone has that at home, a more local track that they cherish rather than the one that is on F1 TV. If you have any, please drop them down in the chat below. I'd love to hear them. You got any yourself there, my friend? Oh, fair enough. If I cut out for you, I apologize. But no, what track is more home to you that might not be on the F1 circuit? Personally, myself would be Mossport. So there you go. Yeah, so you got other more local tracks than, say, Kota, as example. I'm sure a lot of Americans feel that same pain with you, but we are getting out now with some of these drivers on their outlap. Jack Carl, Zach the Beast already out there. Mike as well already out there trying to get out a banker lap. Yeah, I've found it interesting that there's only 2 drivers out on the mediums right now that are going out just to do a scout on those medium tires and get that banker down, both the Williams. So I guess the teammates are talking and working together, which is nice. I'm glad to see that people are working together then rather than against each other. Could be an important banker if people are invalidating a lot of laps, but Zach the Beast already setting the obvious purple sector 1, having it fairly clean, not too risky on track limits. We have a car off in sector 1. Oh, that is... yeah, that's a corner. It is a cold track. Oh, no, it's all you. It's all you. That is a time. Yeah, well, there's not been a lot of people out, so these medium runners might be having a hard time not having a rubbered-in track. But yeah, Bad Hunt House on his way through Sector 3. Gonna be able to try and put down a represent time. Mike put down a 11.393, and Bad Hunt House collecting a little bit of the Wall of Champions, but didn't seem to get it too bad. 11.178 for him. Puts him P2 for now, but Zach having a good time on those mediums to start out. Navi's doing quite well. I'd say a fairly improved driver so far doing the practice, having a purple sector 1 so far on those medium tires. Grabbing. Yes, but he's the championship leader. I'm more interested to see who might be poking at him rather than what he is doing in specific. That's the only thing. Nothing against Ethan. I'm just curious as to who wants to try fighting him and taking that first place away from him this time around, because he's had it fairly consistency with lucky with the safety cars and such, as Avi does a pole lap right there with a 10.58 on those mediums, so quite a strong lap. I'm definitely going to agree with you there. Watchman hasn't had the best luck so far, but definitely been a very good contender so far. But I'm sure lots of these guys have been practicing quite hard to improve, and it definitely has been looking like that as they have been improving on pace quite rapidly. Books now putting in a pole time for us of a 9.973 on those softs. Definitely a good time so far. Well, Slingshot set a purple sector 2, so he is on a push this lap for himself. Having a little bit of a traction issue out of the hairpin corner, but gathering himself quite quickly out of it as well. Going down into the end of sector 3, trying to put down a banker time for himself with 11 minutes left. So yeah, as we do have a small parade of cars coming down as Jack Carl is coming through, as well as Zach Bardsley, and I do believe Dark Flash might be on his outlap, but there's two Red Bulls lining up something back there as well, so there's a few more cars coming down over the line. As Jack Carl's coming down through, it's going to be a 13.6 for him. Zach Bardsley not too far back. What's he going to set on those mediums? He's going to put himself P6 with an 11.70. Fairly strong time so far for the mediums. Getting out of the way for other drivers taking the grass, but interesting route, but an effective one nonetheless. Dark Flash lining up a lap now on his outlap. Ron, I believe, yes, on an outlap. Gas Smoking on a run, but invalidated already. Watchman having issues with track limits as well. Yeah. Just trying to see who's what do you see?
Now my audio is included.
Oh, now it's included.
No.
Come on, man.
No, that's not
Come
good.
on, man.
It was checked off, I swear. Alright, well, now we're back. We're fine now.
That's okay. We're back. We're fine.
Right,
Dark Flash coming down.
Crazy.
Yeah, coming down over the line now. A light little lock up into the chicane, but that last little bit's going to invalidate for him. That's not going to help his run. Was going to be a decent time. I think he backed out of it near the end there, but yeah, 12.8 on the mediums.
Yeah, right now, Slingshot kind of sitting in his own section, so is Jack. He won 11th in a few 10-second times. So, kind of interesting to see who's going to make that final push here in the last remaining minutes of qualifying. We'll say one person I'm surprised that hasn't put in a lap yet is Ron Swanson in the McLaren. I think he might be starting his now, along with Dark Flash. Those are two drivers that normally put in quick times.
Jack Carl going to improve any on this run? He does by about 3 tenths. That's not bad. Puts him into the 12.867. And yeah, Ron Swanson on his way through. But you are right. Dark Flash is got a validated lap, unfortunately. So yeah, I think Ron Swanson's the farthest car through, trying to push on those mediums.
And Watchman now almost into the 9s. He sets a 110.1 right behind Book. So the two Mercedes right now with the front row lockout early in qualifying. Kind of interesting to see if somebody can kind of squeeze between.
Like, Abby and Zach both put in a comparable time to Watchman on mediums, and with track development, I imagine they can go fairly quicker on soft. So the question is, are they going to swap it out?
I'd hope to see them stay on mediums, because I know that they can have the pace for it, because once the track kind of rubbers in, they're definitely going to get those extra 5 tenths, and if they can find a little bit more speed, they can get near the front of the grid for sure. His Books was on mediums with the 109, and behind him Watchman on the softs, so they could definitely improve upon those times, just whether they're going to switch to a different set or keep the set that they have on now.
As Ethan's starting a lap as well. Looks like some of these guys are getting into the pits to fuel up for maybe their final run. But Ethan getting out to get his first lap down on those mediums.
A few drivers were still waiting on times to be set through. It was both Ethan, Dark Flash, Henchman, and Gas Smoke, and all of them still have yet to set times. About 6 minutes left, so definitely want to at least get out there and put in some type of lap just in case they get an invalidation. Don't want to end up having nothing to show for.
Well, Ethan's on a run right now, so he's going to try and change that as Dark Flash is on an out lap. But Ethan sets a purple sector 2 on those medium tires, and Henchman still in the pits. But I do agree, better to get out early, especially with Canada and track limits. You do try to push a little bit harder, and with track limits being as fine as they are at Canada, it can bite you, so I do agree with you there.
Yeah, there are certain spots where you can take a lot, but if you take too much, it can definitely bite you in the rear. It can also cause you to lose your car in a few spots, as Butters found out earlier. So, very tricky track indeed.
Ethan sets a 10.617 on those mediums. Avi having the fastest run on the mediums so far. But we'll have to see what happens thus far, as Mike has split the two Mercedes with his 10.1 on those softs, so he's done quite well for himself, and that has to slide up on there. Bad Hunthouse making a small improvement on his time, doing a 10.9, so he's up into P8 on those soft tires. Who else is on a run?
Gas Smoking is coming to the line, but I think he's on outlap. But Dark Flash is going through the chicane. He is on his lap right now on the mediums. They come to the final section of the track. Oh, but he's around!
Oh no! He was doing a good run, just too much power on the exit, and it just tossed him out. Oh no.
He was on a good run, unfortunate luck right there, so that's two drivers that didn't really get to finish their run, as Henchman almost takes out the wall of champions. Just to start his banker lap, he was getting everything through that chicane. Now he's on his lap now, hopefully didn't get any damage from brushing that wall. Gas Smoking is coming to the line soon. think he just
Yeah,
now hits the DRS straight.
he had a purple sector 2 with those softs with the improving track. But is he going to be able to do anything into these final corners? A little slow into the left turn, but is it going to be enough? What's that, a 10.6? That's P7. He's probably going to be happy and a little bit disappointed with himself. Zach Bardsley up into P4 has retired, so he's quite happy with his time. Watchman is on his way through, trying to improve. Oh, Zach the Beast. He crashed out in the end of Sector 2 after the chicane.
And for one driver, Mike Andrade, actually splitting the two Mercedes, didn't get to catch that with a 10.104 with the softs.
Yes, that was a little bit earlier. Maybe he's got time to get another lap out. Tenchman slowed up quite a bit, but I think he was already done his lap anyhow, so that's going to be a 10.86 for him. Up in P8 on the mediums. I don't think he wanted to do anything outside of his strategy starting on those mediums. So some of these guys definitely wanting to start on a different stack of tires. That's the way it's been for them. Watchman unfortunately having an invalidated lap. If he's going to try and make a round again, Stewards will look at corner cutting as a possible reason to not be able to start his lap again. But yeah, gas smoking. I don't know if you're right out of fuel, but you gotta hurry up, bud. Ron Swanson on a run on an out lap. I think he's going for another run on those softs to try to improve at the end, being down in P9. Not a bad gamble at this point for him. Trying to line up his lap now.
Yep, and as of right now, I think he is the only other person on a lap besides Watchman. It's going to be interesting to see what these two are going to push out here in the final minute, basically. Ron, if he can get around quick enough, may have time for one more. Even then, it's going to be cutting it really, really close, but Watchman has only one lap to really nail everything on the track as he's getting ready to come in to start his lap. Let's kind of pay attention to see what both of them are going to do here.
Trying to watch Ron Swanson. He's farthest way through. He's got a purple sector 2. He's up 7/10 so far. 7/10 would definitely put him closer up to pole, but is it going to be enough coming down over the line? Will he have it on those softs? Watchman out into sector 2 at the beginning of it. Grabs a good line. What's it gonna be? Coming down through. It's gonna be just enough to steal it by a few thousands. Ron Swanson on pole with 20 seconds left. Nobody else left to fight it. That is his pole. And that's going to be a 9.965. Good for you, man. Good for you.
And he nailed that final chicane, got right up to the wall of champions, and just barely knocking the Mercedes off the pole. I bet he's probably chipper with himself. Starting up front here definitely means a lot, especially turns 1 and 2. It can get really tight and really hectic really quickly.
I definitely agree as Ron Swanson's making his way through, probably coming back just down to the pits, quite happy with himself. Everybody else just waiting out the timer. But that looks like that's going to be our top lineup here as Ron Swanson, Books, and Mike will take our P1, 2, 3 in qualifier here today for Tier 5.
So right now the field really close together overall. From first all the way down to 11th basically is only 1 second in between. And at least from first to 5th, it's only about a 10th in between them. So top 5 really, really close in time. And everyone else on back pretty close on time as well. So interesting to see what race pace is going to develop over here. And how everyone's going to just kind of maneuver through this race as we're just waiting on Gasmokin and Jack Harlow to retire. We'll start the race.
Yep, I definitely agree. We're coming down to the end here, but I know how Cody's are. If these guys could retire, that would save us the 1 minute timer. But I guess we'll go to the race director and take a look at our tire deployment for some of these drivers and how many they used, which tires did they use going into the race. It does make a difference because when you are selecting them, those tires will still be used. So Watchman using quite a few, Books using both his soft, medium, Ron Swanson as well, Zach Bardsley also using his soft and medium. So having that in mind, incidences, just lots of track invalidations, is it going to lead to a lot of track penalties coming into the race? And obviously we'll have to see how that gets on.
Definitely, for sure. Another thing that I'm kind of interested in, kind of guessing, is what the strategy is going to be for these guys once the race progresses, especially early safety car for those starting on the medium tire or even on the soft tire. Kind of altering what may or may not happen, whether you're going to go for softs to mediums or even possibly, if you have an early enough safety car, putting on the hards and trying to just make those last to the end. Interesting decision to
I'm
see.
not quite a fan of the hards. I think some of our other drivers would agree that they just don't carry enough pace around Canada compared to the two-stop. I think the two-stop here is specifically a little bit stronger, but as the end of quali came down, it was clouding over a bit. Maybe we'll have a little bit of a change-up of weather at the end. But that will be our top 15. No time for PPR Butters and Dark Flash with a early crash out, but Ron Swanson taking pole with a 109.965, only 8 thousandths faster than Books. A very tight group for their top 10, all within a second between medium, soft, compounds. So there will be a mix-up of strategy going into the race. We'll have to see how that changes up everything.
No, we
Oh
can definitely.
boy.
Yep. This race is definitely going to be something to kind of show here. Because if it does rain, if rain does come in, it will definitely alter people's strategies for sure. And depending on how hard it comes down, it will come down to the decision of whether to put on intermediates or wets near the end
Well,
of
if
the
it's
race.
just
If it is,
cloudy, it might just make it that the hards are not viable as the track is too cold. It might just give more life to these hard runners, not having an overheating or having a better degradation change with the track temperature. So who knows? Maybe these medium runners will be caught out by these soft runners being able to do a longer stint and doing a soft, medium soft here at Canada. It's quite possible. But it is quite cloudy. We might see a mix up of rain, but it might just be an overcast race. So definitely a good change up of things.
well, rain will definitely spice up this track in a hurry. That's for sure. For how flat some of these corners are, hit a little bit of water too quickly, you'll find yourself skidding right off the side. So,
I
but
definitely agree. That's the wet here. It's not the easiest thing to master. I'm sure it'll catch a few people out if it does come down. But I'm sure these guys are going to try and get on as clean as they can. 15 drivers to start the race. Let's see who makes it down through. See who gets those top 10 positions and makes a few more points tonight to change up our championship standing.
well, I will say hopefully all 15 do finish. I know wrecking out is not fun at all, and kind of taking yourself out of that contention is really a drag and can put you behind on points, especially if you're one of the top 3 in points right now. Everything really matters to really kind of catch Ethan at this point, or really just kind of poke at his lead. So it will be interesting to see who's going to push, who's going to make some risky moves. This track does lend itself to some dive bombs from time to time, so we'll see who can dive a little bit later on breaks and who's a little bit more braver in the corners.
Yeah, it's risky. I've been practicing a little bit more around here, but the dives not as easy to do as it was at some other tracks, I feel. Canada's hard to have the traction and to get around people. So, will be interesting. I'm going to start with these telemetry. Let's start with, I guess, our intervals and our position changes and tires.
Yeah, right now,
Down, so. Go ahead.
I will say a lot of the drivers behind him, at least for Ron Swanson, a lot of them are pretty far back, at least on the grid. I think the final driver is just now coming out of the final turn. And Butters just now hitting the DRS straight, so definitely going to be a minute before they all get staged. But I am looking forward to seeing how this opening lap can turn out.
Yeah, as the last cars are rounding the final chicane, coming down to the start finish, line up for the race. Here we go, 15 drivers here for Tier 5 Canada. Let's hear some predictions in the chat. Who do we have on top? Is it Ethan again, or is it going to be somebody else with Ron Swanson on pole? Maybe one of the Mercedes drivers, or maybe another mid-pack medium. Let's see who does it today.
Yep. As they are off the line, everyone go, 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 go. Right now up front, the Mercedes in the lead. Oh, and a Haas spinning right behind them. Big stack up behind in the back of the field. Everyone piling up to turn one. Ron Swanson getting away. Right now in the
That's going to be a virtual safety car for people to kind of line themselves up. Probably great for our leaders that didn't want a full safety car. We've already got some damage in between Avi and Gas Smokin', which isn't going to help their race. That's going to be 5-second time penalties and wing damages. But yeah, these guys are going to have to sort those way through as the virtual safety car is going to go green very shortly. But Ron Swanson having a very big lead very early with the launch and with all the traffic behind. It looked like I think one of the Mercedes got tangled up with Mike, and he went sideways, which caused the blockage. Not great for everybody else behind, but great for Ron Swanson, who's now got a decent starting lead for himself.
Yep, and they are all green going again. Right now in the back of the field, it's a really big battle, especially from, I think, 9th on back. Everyone close together. Slingshot getting eaten up a little bit. Everyone driving for positions, at least in the back of the field. Dark Flash actually making his way all the way up to 12th. Was 15th right at the start of that. Blue flags is going off for some random reason, but right now Slingshot just getting past as someone pulling in the pit lane. They may have some damage. A few drivers actually coming in the pit lane. Slingshot trying to make the pass on the Haas, really trying to apply pressure, but it doesn't look like he's going to get it done going to turn 1, as the top 3 with Ron, Books, and Watchman are all close together once again, all within a second, applying pressure to one another. Books really just kind of the guy in between. Watchman not wanting to pass his teammate, just kind of watching him follow right now, but both of them catching up to Ron Swanson a little bit, but they are keeping that gap pretty close. As we go further back through the field, I'd say everyone's kind of in their own spot as the 2 drivers that pitted are now coming out. And it kind of looks like everyone's settled down in their position, and it looks like they're all kind of spread out. And the top 3 really close together.
Watchman and Books making a swap. I don't know if that was team orders, but it looked like Books made it fairly easy for his teammate on the hairpin so that they could attack Ron Swanson together. As Watchman is chasing him down the DRS straight. Not quite open yet with not being lap 3, but getting right onto his gearbox early, wanting to make this pass done as Ethan's already closed in that gap. Trying to go wide into turn 2, makes the look, doesn't go for it quite yet, but both Mercedes hounding the back of that McLaren early into this race. As Zach Bartley sets our fastest lap as a 1:13.3, trying to pace a little bit faster than the rest of them, trying to catch up to the rest in P7.
Yep, and if you flash back a little bit further back in the field, Slingshot, Dark Flash, and Mike Andrade are all right together. Dark Flash all over the gearbox of Slingshot. All of them really close to one another, trying to pounce on top of Slingshot at the moment, trying to pass him up for 9th. Kind of keeping it single file right now. Really close battle between these guys right now, really applying pressure throughout the corners. One little slip up and they'll get the inside of another one. as the Haas kind of moving around behind the Renault of Dark Flash, and it looks like Dark Flash got a good run out of that corner, but Slingshot kind of using overtake to break away from him. As right in front of them, both the Zach the Beast and Zach Barsley kind of close to one another, but coming into the DRS zone, both of them are going to have DRS. Looking at Dark Flash, he may try to go to the inside. He may not be close enough. Oh, there he goes, diving right down the end. Ooh, backs out of it last second, but pushes Slingshot wide. Opens it up for Micah Andrade. What a cutback. Really smart move on his part to kind of watch what was happening and basically takes away the position from Dark Flash. Oh, and Slingshot's
Oh, it was big contact. Yeah, big contact between the three drivers, unfortunately, into turn 1, 2. And that's going to have him around. And some wing damage between them as well. As Zach Bardsley's had a spun moment as well, losing some of his wing. I think some of these guys are now praying for a safety car. Maybe this weather is catching them out. Cold track temperature not helping the medium tire, and the softs are definitely maybe a little bit stronger. Book's having a hard time catching on the back of Ron Swanson. I'm not sure if Ron Swanson's disconnected. Ethan has left session. I'm not sure if he's disconnected, if you might be able to get those two back in here. But Books and Watchman currently running away. The double Mercedes 1-2 right now, trying to get away with it. We have a Dark Flash out, and he's crashed out badly, unfortunately. So that's going to be, I think, a virtual safety car. And I would say it should have been a full, but that's the way it is, I guess.
That's unfortunate for Dark Flash. He was making some really good moves, kind of moving himself through the field. But that works out for Zach Barsley, who was just in pit road, and he's actually going under the hard tire.
I don't know how well that's going to work out, being how cold the track is. He can definitely go to the end, I do believe, on those tires, but it's not helping him out so far. Henchman up into the points payout position on hards as well. Slingshot on his way through. All these drivers got a bit of a gap to one another, but yeah. Doesn't look like Ron Swanson is in his car or Ethan, so we do need to get them back in if possible.
Yep, I have sent a few invites. There's Ethan at least. We'll try to send Ron Swanson another invite here. And I think he just now was able to join as well. So both the drivers are back. But I am not sure what happened between him and Watchman, though. They did make a pass for the lead. I don't know if he disconnected beforehand.
Oh, Ron Swanson was passed by Watchman beforehand, but Books was trying to fight him. Cost Books some of his wing with the disconnection of Ron Swanson, unfortunately, so he's trying to limp his way through as these drivers are reconnecting.
It looks like Ethan is back into his car. Ron is just waiting to get back into his. I think he's in now. Yep. So all drivers are back. All 14 at least. We are missing Dark Flash, unfortunately. But this does open up strategy. Like I was talking about earlier, this is a very early kind of like virtual safety car for those guys that were on the track that pitted now on the hards. They could unintentionally lap those or get around those in front of them, kind of have an undercut, because some of those guys in front of them will have to make another stop.
Ethan having a hard time with the Wall of Champions, slowing up a lot to avoid losing any wing. Bad Hunthouse making his way through with DRS, but getting ahead through turn 2 and holding it for now. And the highest runner on those medium tires for right now. Butters trying to make the move on Zach Bardsley. I saw that he had DRS on those tires. Oh, and takes a hit from his gearbox. Butters puts it into him. Ugh, that's not the greatest, unfortunately. But yeah, Zach Bardsley trying to carry his way through. Not having the greatest traction on the hards, but definitely fighting the car on his way through. Books on a new set of tires and I think a new wing as well. Trying to recover his race as he's now chasing down the back of Henchman on his way back through. Fighting that dirty air, it's not the easiest thing to do. But Bad Hunt House trying to catch up to Ron Swanson. Ethan has left the session, unfortunately.
Yeah, it looks like he may be experiencing some
Ghost.
connection issues.
Yeah, Ghost sets the fastest lap though, 12.8, but yeah. As Books and Henchman swap up positions. Into the chicane, Ethan has joined back. Books trying to fight his way through, trying to get ahead, trying to get past Slingshot, makes a deep dive for his outside line, hits the back of Slingshot, not the greatest thing, he's trying to get good traction. He has those fresher mediums, but you gotta give space to everybody else. You can't just push them right off. Little Slingshot being wise and letting him through just to avoid any further incident for himself. But Zach the Beast trying to catch up to the ghost of Ethan right now, trying to make a move so he can get into one of those podium payout positions for himself. Bad Hunt House not too far from Ron Swanson. Watchman got himself a good lead so far with pace. Hopefully he can hold it together for himself as Jack Carl is on the back of the Haas of Mike, chasing each other down. Slingshot and Henchman fighting it out for a position. Henchman on his way through. Slingshot fighting those older soft tires.
Sorry about that. The game just kind of gave me that you must be connected to Xbox Live. Give me a moment to just join back, so you will be on your own for just a few minutes.
Oh, that's all good. That's understandable. Butters into the pits. I don't know if he's getting a new wing for himself. I'm imagining so. Slingshot on his way through. This is his pit lap for lap 9 to go to the mediums. What else do we have on the go? Jack Carl still hounding the back of the Haas here. Trying to get himself into a nice little pocket of DRS and maybe able to make an overtake. Oh, having a little bit of a twitch with traction, but able to recover the car quite nicely. But yeah, Ron Swanson and Zach the Beast having a go, and Zach the Beast on his way through. Ron Swanson having some connection issues, not helping out his race, I think. And he is disconnected again. Possibly the 5 FPS glitch that is very prominent in this game. Thank you, Codemasters. I hope you do find a way to fix that, because your recent patch has so far not. Ron Swanson comes into the pit, his AI doing that onto the medium tires for him. Watchman on his way through. He's got himself a big lead. He's just got to nurse his tires as nicely as he can on 9 laps of those softs. Already stretched them well enough, but it looks like he's just been babying it, saving a lot of ERS where everybody else has pushed their way through. Bad Hunt House P2, Zach the Beast P3 on the medium run. So different strategies coming into play already, and what's going to come down over the line is going to be the strongest is going to be a good question. Mike knowing to break up the slip a little bit for Jack, trying to keep Jack Carl away far enough for the next DRS zone, not wanting him to get any closer than he is. Trying to fight his way through corners as Zach Bardsley has retired from the session, unfortunately. Gone into the pits. And Ethan has left the session as well. Codemasters, thank you. This game is clearly flawless and need many, many more hours of polishing for multiplayer use. Well, I'm sorry, Zach. I know that's not the way you wanted your race to go. But Henchman up into P8, charging down on the ghost of Ron Swanson. Watchman taking another 3-second time penalty. Bucks on his way through. Jack Carl pushing fast, trying to catch up to Ethan, and Zach the Beast trying to get back into a points payout or a podium payout rather, because he was quite up there before taking some wing damage, having a good push so far.
Looks like Ron Swanson is back, and I am too reconnected to the session finally. But Ron is back in his car. Ethan did get an invite, so he is hopefully going to join back soon. I think he may actually be back now, not sure. But all the drivers should be on track right now pushing. And it looks like kind of just to see if people have already pitted.
Oh, we're going to have a few pit stops coming in as we had many medium runners that haven't made a stop yet. Watchman doing a long stretch on the tires, and Ethan around, and I think that was a reset to track. That's not something we like to see, but maybe he got caught out by reconnecting to the car. I'm not quite sure.
Sometimes it can be a little glitchy. So
yeah, Books is trying to chase him down now. Taking a 3-second time penalty for his troubles on that chicane. Is one to bite you. Canada is not nice on track limits. He's charging onto the back of Ethan quite hard. Trying to get around now. Ethan not putting up much of a fight. Letting him through. Zach the Beast into the pits now. Change up his strategy. Watchman on his way out of the pits on a hard stack of tires, doing the soft to hard run. Bad Hunt House on his way through, still taking up P1 as Ethan has retired in the pits. Unfortunately, I think he's had the 5 FPS glitch, which might have cost him his race, unfortunately. So
yep, it does happen from time to time, which really stinks overall. Kind of catches you out, and you can't really do anything about it other than try to reconnect and disconnect, but even then it still can hold true. But as of right now, 5th to 8th place, very close together on track. Jack Carl getting ate up by Ron Swanson, diving to the inside. Oh, pushes him off the track a little bit. That's a little risky. Hopefully nothing
I'm
comes to
surprised
that.
Jack Carl gave him the space, and it was quite nice of him to do so, in my opinion, as these guys are all coming down into that hairpin. Henchman not too far away as well.
Zach the Beast kind of catching up little by little as well, with Mike right behind him. 2 Haas drivers, both 8th and 9th. Kind of mid-pack. Did qualify a little bit higher, so not a great day. Oh, and I don't know what happened to Jack right there.
Jack Carl and Henchman got caught up going into the chicane, and Henchman's lost quite a bit of his wing. He's jumped into the pits now, I think, to jump for mediums and a new wing. Probably pretty annoyed with his race. He probably wanted to go hard to the end and do well on his positioning. That's not well for him. Jack Carl, I think, got away with no real damage there. Ron Swanson back up into P4, trying to chase down the top runners. But Bad Hunt House being chased down by Watchman. Bad Hunt House still needs to make a pit stop for probably either hards or a stack of medium soft to the end.
Well, just the way everything is kind of going, it looks like switching to the hard tire may be the move. But you could do softs to softs. Going another lap here. Can push those and get pace out of the car, but he's actually losing time to Watchman right now, who's on the hard tire compound. That is something to kind of keep in mind as they progress through this lap, to see if he's going to really break away, or if switching to the hard tire may be the move. as throughout the rest of the field, everyone kind of single file, everyone by themselves. Further in the back of the field, really from 9th to 12th, all four of those guys really close to one another. All had DRS with one another, kind of keeping each other in check overall. If one of them making a mistake will leave the whole entire line open for one to follow. As everyone else is really settling in their position, those guys are the closest to one another on track. Basically a battle for the final 2 points paying positions. Can be interesting to develop as Slingshot actually starting to apply a little bit of pressure to Gas Smoke and keeping him modest. At least through chicane. Interesting to see if he can use that DRS to get a little bit closer to him, as a Gas Smoke has fallen out of Hitchin's range.
Gas Smoke is going to take a 3-second time penalty though for his troubles.
Yeah, pushing a little bit too hard. As we were talking about earlier, the track limits here in Canada, you can take a lot, but if you take too much, it can definitely bite you, especially after quite a few times. Those 3-second penalties can really stack up pretty quickly if you're not careful. As Butters also just got handed another 3-second penalty for his troubles on track. And Watchman as well. So it looks like they're just handing out 3-second penalties. You guys gotta really be watching where you're pushing and watching how far your car is going over those lines, because that can cost you quite a bit over time.
Zach the Beast closing in on Jack Carl, trying to get back up into the front pack with those hard tires. Watchman still closing down on that gap on Bad Hunt. I was now within 2 seconds, coming down over to start their next lap, as Slingshot and Avi and Smokin are still fighting at the back. But I think Zach the Beast has the move done here with Jack Carl. Oh! That was a weird way to give it up. He closed off his DRS and I guess gave up on it, but Jack Carl holding his line for now. Going side by side into turn 1. Both cars having a lock up into turn 1, taking different apexes into the corner, going side by side, giving each other enough room, but still doing quite well. Jack Carl backing out of it into turn 3-4, having the older tires and not having enough to really fight back with at the moment. Having a lot of DRS or ERS on hand to use, but having old tires, probably not too much he can do with it. Gas Smoking in for new tires for mediums. Hopefully he can stretch those to the end. I'm guessing that's his game plan at this point after having issues at the beginning. Bad Hunt House into the pits now. What is he going with? Looks like he's stacking for hards, but his team wasn't quite ready with his teammate going out a little bit before him, slowing up him. So he's lost a lot of time in the pits.
Well, luckily for him, Brooks actually came into the pit lane as well. He really could have taken advantage of that, but it's really going to be between him and Ron Swanson, because he's really got to go right now. He might just be able to beat him out. He does.
The Bad Hunt House is just looking to hold his position and hold P2, I think, until the end. I'm not sure he's going to be able to close in that gap on Watchman. That is quite a gap of 21 seconds to go. There is a 5-lap difference in tires. Ron Swanson on the oldest stack of hard tires. Zach the Beast into P4 on a different stack of same lap tires of Watchman. But everybody else on mediums or other on our way back through. Book's going to try slotting himself on his way through with medium tires, hopefully catching up to those hard runners. It's got about 10, 13 seconds to go to catch up to them, but that's only to get up to about Bad Hunt House, who's still 22 seconds out from the leader. So all Watchman needs to do is carry on his pace, not put it in a wall, not get too many more penalties. Mike's fighting Jack Carl now, coming down that DRS straight.
And even the Bad Hunt House is about 21 seconds behind. Watchman really needs to be careful about those penalties that he's been getting. I've seen him get, I think, three 3-second penalties. That may have been the fourth one that he had going by there that last time by, so he could be up to 12 seconds. If he gets another one, I think, if I'm not mistaken, that puts him out of the race, accumulating that many penalties. So he's really got to be careful these last remaining 15 laps. He has a big enough gap between him and Bad Hunt House that he doesn't really have to push the car that bad. Whereas he's being chased down by Ron Swanson, so they'll end up battling more. Watchman just needs to get his head down, put in clean laps, and not really get himself in any more trouble than he has to, just so he can make it to the end and get the victory.
Definitely agree. It's definitely going to be one of those you gotta be careful, because being disqualified for too many track penalties is not the way you want to lose a race. Zach the Beast is trying to catch up to Ron Swanson. Has DRS but isn't activating it. Maybe he's got a DRS fault or just didn't do it on that time around. Doesn't use it on that time around. Maybe he does have a DRS fault. How interesting. Zach the Beast on his way through trying to catch up to Ron Swanson. Fighting for P3. And Book's on his way through as drivers are making some pit stops. He's up into P7 now, trying to catch up to Henchman.
Yeah, right now, the battle is going to be for third. Zach the Beast and Ron Swanson really knows the tail. As Ron is falling back a little bit. I don't know if he's letting him go or if he's going to kind of set up and follow him for the race, or he just might be out of pace. With the hard tire, could be struggling on track. But he does have DRS, so he's keeping him close to him on the straights. I'm wondering if he's kind of waiting to make the move, or if he's just not going to really have the pace. As looks like Zach is starting to extend that lead quite a bit, almost already up to a second between him and Ron Swanson. And Zach is gone. He's already out of 1 second, so DRS will not be able to help Ron Swanson right now.
But does that mean Bad Hunt House is in the threat position of Zach the Beast maybe having just a little bit more pace, even with older tire? But gonna be interesting to see to the end.
Gas smoking, he just received a 3-second penalty. He is back in 11th, so I'm not really sure what's going on back there, but I think he might be hounding on Butters at the moment, actually. Or Butters is actually on the back end of Jack Carl for 9th place. Butters all over the track trying to make the pass, almost going around the outside of him, right on his gearbox. Applying that pressure, goes to the inside. I don't know if Jack's going to really fight that move too much. Kind of lets him go on the inside. Will be interesting to see if Jack Carl is going to make that pass back on him, or if he's going to fall back like Ron Swanson did to Zach Beast.
Pushing with DRS. Not using a whole lot of ERS, just kind of using 3. Butters not having a whole lot of ERS to fight with as he's put on some heavy deployment to get through. Trying to break up that slip, and yeah, I think Butters is going to try and hold that position and maybe try to catch up to Slingshot. As Henchman is now on the back of Mike, as these guys are catching up to the back of Ron Swanson. Henchman does have DRS this time around with overtake. Is he going to be able to get any closer to Mike this time? We'll have to see. Gets in pretty close, but does good to just stay behind for now. Applies DRS again, trying to catch back up. Mike almost closing in within 1 second of Ron Swanson, so good on him so far. It's going to be a mix-up of guys at the top for that podium position for sure. Watchman's kind of sealed himself away from the rest of the crowd, but Zach the Beast now fighting for P2 as he's clawed about a second into the Bad Hunt House. Still has 2 more to go with a few more laps. So he's just waiting for Bad Hunt House to make any mistake to pounce on him. Ron Swanson under heat with Mike and Henchman right behind him on fresher medium tires, or older medium tires, I guess, compared to those hards. But both these drivers, I think, wanted to make one more stop for the softs to the end. I know Henchman was wanting to do hards to the end, and that kind of got stomped out for him. So we'll see what he's able to do. Books on the fresher mediums might be able to do something with all the battling ahead.
But he got real sideways when they exited that carousel. Both of them going to have DRS drag race down the front straightaway as they're both trying to get to the back of Ron Swanson. Henchman kind of filling in that middle gap now. Almost. Oh, and there goes Ron into the pits. And Henchman getting a 3-second penalty on the exit of that chicane right there. But both of them now around Ron. Ron probably just got tired of those hards. I'd be surprised if he goes to the... Oh, he's actually going to the mediums. I would have thought he would have gone to the softs, but I guess the tire fall.
They're not going to really make it to the end, or at least not nicely.
Looks like Zach had a small mistake. He kind of fell back about 5 tenths. Now up to about 7 tenths. I don't know what happened there. Either that or Bad Hunt House.
Oh, Bad Hunt House is... Oh, they're all deploying battery now. It's just a... They're trying to build a bit of a gap, so now they've pushed a little bit. Bad Hunt House using more and more deployment on the straights, trying to catch up to Watchman. Clawed about a second into Watchman just with his deployment, so that's why him and Zach the Beast are now changing up a little bit of their times, but that's just some battery usage. Henchman doing his best just with pace, trying to catch up to these guys, so good on him. Mike not too far behind. Books closing in, now within 5 seconds of the guys ahead, trying to catch back into a podium position. And Ron Swanson down in P8 on the freshest medium tires, hopefully going to the end, see if he can maybe claw back something for himself.
Well, he's pulling to the backside of Butters for sure. He is in the slipstream, kind of catching him slowly but surely, keeping the DRS off. Both of them get through the chicane pretty well. Should have DRS right here, possibly. Like it's deployed, but he is still making up time on Butters. Pretty close to him through the first sets of corners, getting ready to go through the first set of chicanes. Could get a good run through here, or he could. Not really sure what he's trying to do. Looked like he was maybe hitting him a move right there. Definitely wouldn't think that's the smartest decision that you could do right now, especially with 10 laps to go.
Trying to make the move done, trying to be clean about it though. Just being wise about that. Making a good late dive to try and close into Butters, getting good traction out of the corner. Oh, but on the grass, unable to really be able to put it down. He's going to be able to claw his time back in and make it before the chicane, I'm not quite sure. It's rapidly approaching, and he's backing off of Butters. So we have a yellow sector 1. Henchman and Mike having a bit of a moment. But Henchman being overtaken by Mike on their way through. Ron Swanson, PBR Butters having a go. Ron Swanson on the back of him. A dive into the corner. Butters trying to close him off, leaving him just enough room, but there is a little bit of light contact between the two drivers. Butters is going to try and slot himself in behind, but Ron Swanson does have DRS. thing for Butters is it's probably better to have grabbed DRS here, as it is somewhat of a double DRS zone, as Henchman's into the pits again. I don't know if he's going for softs until the end with his position. Yeah, it looks like he's going softs with a new wing until the end. I think he collected some damage with Mike. Not the way he wanted his race to go, as Mike is swapping on for new softs as well. Zach the Beast still 2 seconds behind Bad Hunt House, as Ron Swanson's recollected P4 for himself. A little bit back from our other leaders, but still going to try and grab a podium position, I'm sure. If he can. Still quite a ways. It's almost 30 seconds. Watchman almost about a minute up from the rest of the crowd, coming down to lapping a few of them now as he's catching the back of Slingshot.
Well, there are quite
having more issues. He's already on to new softs. I wonder what happened to him.
I think he may have had a little bit of wing damage, swung a little bit wide. I can't remember which turn exactly, but kind of smacked the wall and lost part of the wing. So he did end up making an emergency pit stop. And right now, there are quite a few battles going on track, especially for 9th place. Gas Smoking really getting kind of ate up by AV as further through the field, especially from Henchman all the way up to Ron. Those three are getting closer and closer together, as Mike now has DRS on Ron Swanson as they approach the game with the Wall of Champions. Really getting pretty close to him. Ron getting through there a little bit faster than Mike, and that could definitely help him right there. Broke away a little bit between him. Those softs are definitely going to reel him in over time. But what I'm interested to see is near the end of the stint, basically laps 34 and 35, is that those softs are really going to have the speed or the grip as they have right now, especially in the opening or closing laps, I should say, here at Canada. As Zach is actually almost within a second of Bad Hunt House. He's a little bit of battery charge, and he's now almost within the second that he needs. That's really good. He has about 5 laps to do it. If I were him, I'd kind of hang behind him a little bit, follow his line, and then when it comes down to the final lap, then try to make the pass. So that way you don't allow Bad Hunt House to really kind of work his way back around him, but I don't know. But actually, if you poke further back in the field, Books has made it back up in the 10th place. He was able to get by AV, but all three of those guys are pretty close. Jack, Carl, Gas Smoking, and Books are all within a few tenths of one another. It looks like Gas Smoking trying to get to the inside of Jack. Things different of it, kind of goes single file. 3 cars training through the chicane right now. Gas Smoking really trying to just get around the AlphaTauri that's in front of him, as Mercedes all over the brakes, getting really, really sideways. And Gaston gets a little bit sideways on exit. That allows Books to make it up in the 9th place. Now he's going to aim for Jack Harrell here in the final few laps. I think he'll get that move done. But Ron Swanson, he is getting ate up by Mike at the moment, as Henchman is starting to encroach on that gap. And Mike, I think, might try to make the pass here. As he does, he late breaks in. Contact's made, and he is around. That was a very risky decision Mike tried to make there, and I don't think that paid off as well as he hoped. That allows Henchman to now battle for 4th place as that contact's made. This could actually help out Henchman. He's definitely had a rough race today, but right now he is staring down a 4th place finish. He could be looking at a podium as Zach the Beast makes the pass on Bad Hunt House near the carousel. So Zach has now made the pass on Bad Hunt House and now looking to pull away, but it looks like Bad Hunt House doesn't want to get away that easily.
Henchman taking some damage. He fell off Ron Swanson. Oh, he's lost some of his wing, and he's lost a lot of time He's just got to hold it together for 4 laps, but I'm not sure it's going to be possible with that wing.
It seems like things for Hinchman just keep stockpiling over this race for sure. Whether it be wing damage or just having to make an emergency pit stop, it doesn't look like anything's really working in his favor. But he does have 2 other drivers. Brooks got around Jack Carl, looks like pretty easily. But I think for Hinchman, he's really just better off sticking it out, especially if the wing damage isn't too bad. I know he's missing that right front kind of flare. He at least still has the rest of the wing to work with. So it will be interesting to see if he can hold that 5th place position.
Gas Smoking and Avi are having a bit of a fight here into turn 1-2. Avi's into E9. Gas Smoking falling down a little bit on those older medium tires, kind of struggling out there. I think he's just going to try and stretch it to the end. But Bad Hunt House wanting to catch up to Zach the Beast now, trying to make that pass done right at the end of the race, I think.
Yeah, he's not letting him get away. He's keeping him within a certain distance. He needs to keep him within at least half a second. So that way when he does get DRS on those final few straights, he can close up and at least get the gearbox out and try to make a last-ditch pass. But Zach is slowly increasing that gap now to almost a second now. So if he's not careful and kind of lets him get out of that gap, he will not be able to really make that move later in the race, and he can walk away from him. Luckily, getting DRS and keeping him within that half a second will be interesting to see what the move's going to play out like.
Thank you for staying as long as you have, Dark Flash. I'm guessing you were in party chat with some of your mates there. Good on you for sticking around so long. I appreciate it, my friend. Bad Hunt House on his way through, trying to chase down Zach the Beast. Still has DRS, but falling off a bit to Zach the Beast. I'm not sure he's going to have the pace to hold P2. Maybe on penalties he knows it's okay to let Zach go and just to cruise and hold his position, but we'll have to see. As Books and Mike and Henchman are all fighting it out for P5, 6, and 7. Could be advantageous for people like Jack Carl and Avi, not too far behind. Never know if another driver might slip out again and cost them themselves their race.
Yeah, and I'm very surprised Henchman has been holding him off very, very well, so that wing damage might not be as severe as what we think. I think where it might hurt him the most is probably through the chicanes, especially the second chicane where it's more of a left-sided entry to the right.
Yeah, Avi is out. Yeah. I wonder if that's going to be a safety car. He's lost it into the final chicane over by the Wall of Champions. And Butters having a bit of a moment trying to chase down Slingshot. Almost lost out. Slingshot still in the points. So, no safety cars as of yet. A few cars out, but no safety cars here at Canada so far. As Mike is fighting the back of Henchman. Book's not too far behind.
Bad Hunt House. I actually made it within almost a few tenths of a second to Zach the Beast into turn 1, so he's keeping him modest, not letting him get away. So it will be interesting to see what the last little bit of this race will proclaim, as Henchman is getting almost hounded by both Books and Books into the wall. Does he have wing damage? He does. He is missing the right front fender, just like Henchman.
Yeah, missing a little bit of that wing. It's not going to be able to help him on his run through. But Henchman's just got to hold off for 2 more laps. It might be quite doable at this point. Just has to defend smart. But, as Mike does a deep dive, Henchman has to check up. Making contact as Mike really sent it on him. I don't know how I would feel about that, as Zach the Beast and Bad Hunt House are fighting it out.
I would say it did look like he's a little late on the brakes, but even before the entry of the turn, it looked like he had the inside line. He had almost a whole entire car as Hinchman. I thought was going to dive up to the inside of him, but I think he's going to wait for a DRS and try to pass him back. This is a really great battle, especially for just 5th place. But any place, at least in the top 5, matters, or any place that's in the points matters. The more points you get is for position. As Hinchman going down the inside. Contact made.
Some contact. Yeah.
Oh no, and
Books is right there. Yeah, Books is probably not going to be too happy with that. He's lost even more wing on his race. There's probably going to be lots of clips for the stewards this time around for Tier 5, unfortunately.
Oh,
Jack Carl going to try and close in.
Bad Hunt House has made a pass around Zach, but Zach is right back behind him. I know we missed that pass. I don't know if the chat was kind of trying to give us the notice.
Oh, I saw the pass. I got the pass done, but yeah, it was a little fight into the wall of champions, and Bad Hunt House now having the lead on the last lap as these two were coming down over the line. What do we have here with penalties?
Alright, so they have crossed the line.
Zach the Beast takes him on penalties for now.
Yep, and then flashing back to Hinchman and Mike. Mike right on the gearbox of Hinchman. Hinchman getting a little loose on the exit. Looks like DRS, but Mike does have DRS, but I don't know if that's going to be enough for him to catch up to the backside of Hinchman.
And Jack Carl spins out on the final lap. It's going to give other people the points that they were looking for. And Mike's going to take him on penalties. Books is coming down over the line. He's not going to slide up on any penalties. Butters now doing a little happy wiggle for himself for P7. He's going to push down Books on penalties. Slingshot coming down over the line. And that's going to be P7 for him for a fairly clean race. So good on him to slide himself up there. Jack Carl coming down over the line. It's going to be P10. Is Gas Smoking going to trade up with him at the line? I'm not quite sure. But no, Gas Smoking finishes P11. But obviously some steward reports to take a look at. Driver of the day is going to be Butters. Had a very good run. Able to make up a few positions near the end with Jack Carl slipping out. And able to recover for himself, so not bad for Butters. But I know he was pretty tired. He's got to get up early tomorrow, so I want to at least give him a shout out.
And we'll say some of the biggest movers of the race, climbing 8 positions in total, both Bad Hunt House and Zach making their way up the grid pretty quick and finishing in the podium positions with Watchman with a fairly easy victory in the Mercedes. I know that's not uncommon like in IRL Formula 1, but
you got like Williams up there. That's something true. You don't see in real life, so there you go.
That is true. And to round it out your top 5, you have Ron Swanson in the McLaren, and Mike coming home in the Haas. Then you have the rest of the field further down. A few DNFs this week. Dark Flash and Zach, unfortunately, wrecking out, and Ethan getting hit with, I guess, the 5 FPS glitch. Kind of sad to see that happen. Ethan is the championship leader, so finishing 13th out of the points can definitely hurt him. And the guy that we're saying that could poke the most at Ethan for sure is Watchman. And that is true.
Yeah, lots of incidents for track limits, looks like, going on. So, exceeding, corner cutting, and some contact between some of these drivers going through the race today. Definitely things for the stewards to look at, but that will be our Tier 5 race this afternoon. We do have more coming along this weekend, as we do have our Tier 1, 2, 3, and 4 race, Tier 3 and 4 on Monday, and we do have our Tier 2 and Tier 1 coming in tomorrow, which is going to be an exciting race, as those guys do carry quite a bit of pace around to show some of us how it's done, but we'll have to see. We are just loading into back lobby, trying to get some of these drivers in for some podium interviews.
Yeah, boy. Woo! Get it, girl. Get it.
There's Watchman. We are
Got your
waiting
audio
on
included?
more.
Yeah, boy.
There's Bad Hunt House. We are missing one more, which I think is Zach. Not entirely sure if he's going to be able to make the interviews. I'm going to double check with him real quick and see what's going on.
I guess he's
there.
just tired of taking interviews with me, always getting second or third. Poor guy. He had a good race, though. How was that for you, Bad Hunt House, if you have your audio included? Oh, boy. Yes. Oh, I know. I know. There's lots of battles going out on track. I was kind of keeping up with it for a while. I did see some of it on the last 2 laps there, so don't you worry. Yeah, it's hard for one camera angle. Consider F1 has several, so you can only do so much. I try, but we did get a good amount of it on camera for you. So there is that, and we did finally get Zach in here if he can add his audio as well. And that was a pretty good fight from the two of you. I don't know what you want to say, as it was quite a battle for the last 7 laps between the two of you. I'm sure you guys have some mixed reviews between battling, defending, and attacking. So, what do you have to say for it, Bad Hunt House?
We had a blast there. I think we might have got into each other a little bit before on the second to last lap, but I'm not mad about it. Neither is he. It was just a racing thing. It was fun, close racing through the chicanes.
Understand.
I got a penalty there. That was my first and only penalty, I think. But that was some good racing.
It was some pretty good racing. There was lots of good racing around, but unfortunately some people having some wing damage and other, unfortunately, not helping out their run. But Zach, how was that for you? Able to sneak your way into P2 after fighting all your way through the pack and kind of recovering your race?
So close, yet so far for that first victory, man.
I
For
know.
qualifying, I got a reality check because I went out first and I thought I was able to set off like a good lap for everyone to beat. Turns out, that's not the way. I started P10, made my way up to the front, and then at one point I got a question asked. Is Zach Bardsley retired? Because on my screen he said he did, but his AI came out of pit road and it smacked me. It got me red wing damage.
I didn't see where you started.
He did retire, but that's what AI does. Yeah, that's what AI does. AI does come back out onto the track.
Okay, that's cool. So anyway, I think if his
that
AI
wreck in the
then
first
did
race, we went.
Yeah, I did see that wreck. I'm surprised I didn't get wing damage from that. I had to slow down like so much.
Did you jump a bunch of places the first lap wreck that they had?
I went from P10 to P9. I don't know if that counts.
I went from 11 to 6.
Yeah, there was quite a wreck at turn 1, unfortunately. We'll probably have to look into that with stewards. But Watchman, you had the pace out there, and it seemed like everything kind of went your favor with some of the wing damage and some of the fighting that was going on out there.
Yeah, boys, it's Friday then. It's Sunday, what? Nah, for real.
I knew he was excited for that one.
Yeah, all the penalties, sorry about that. That's what lack of training gets to all the kids out there, but what a race, man. I was on it with my man, Henchman, hearing all the battles and all the incidents. I was just glad to be away.
Yeah, I feel bad for Henchman, as I did drive against him a season ago, and I know he's a fairly clean driver and just kind of always finds some bad luck out there. And Canada bit him again today, unfortunately, with some bad luck in some of its fights, but did make some good action, did drive very well, and yourself did drive pretty well, getting quite far ahead of the crowd. So I'm guessing now is you seem to have the pace, but track limits are still biting you quite a bit. So I'm guessing that's your goal for next week into France?
Yeah, for sure, man. You know, people that They've got lots of penalties. Don't look good. It's genuinely down to lack of laps. But yeah, this league is really fun. Yeah, can't wait to watch the stream. Yeah, you guys are killing it. Cheer.
But yeah, thank you very much for that. But again, if anybody is interested in joining Breakout Racing League, we do have our Nightbot around. All you have to do is click onto those links, get into our Discord, and try to enter into our TT times, and you might be able to race with some of these guys. Do you have anything for them, Mr. Ringwraith? Anything you'd like to ask?
Nope, they pretty much covered everything I needed. Y'all did a fantastic job. Great climb to the top, especially for both Zach and Bad Hunt House and Watchman. Kudos to you for not getting 24 seconds of penalties and kind of costing yourself first place. But great job to all the top three.
Good run, watching. Sure.
Yes, boys.
Well,
Yes,
that
sir.
was it for our Tier 5. I'm going to cut off the stream here. Thank you, everyone, for coming in and watching the stream. Thank you for our drivers for showing up on time and having themselves organized and ready to go. Have yourselves a safe and wonderful night. We'll catch you next time with our next Breakout Racing League race.
See you in France.